Well, I just got back from the tribe's cybersecurity breach meeting down there in the casino. As some of you probably know, the Shoshone-Bannock Tribes was hacked. Apparently it was a new ransomware cyber attack, and the council and executive director Tino were saying that they don't know really what kind it is, other than it was a new type of ransomware. They sound like they are leaving it up to the FBI to determine if what they're after, and what information was compromised. And they're also saying that things are going to be down for a while, and they're going to go back to doing paperwork. Apparently they contacted the vendors and let them know that they've been hacked. I guess they contacted the banks that have the tribe's money and let them know. I asked them if they blocked. They didn't really give me a straight answer on whether that was blocked, but I'm assuming they did. If they contacted the banks, they blocked the withdrawals. But they don't know what's been compromised at this point. And but usually, like these ransomwares, I know a little bit about them because I've been hacked 3 times. I worked at the BLM. All my information was hacked. That was back in the early 2000s. And then when I worked at the INL, we got hacked. That was like last year, I think in November, we got hacked. And all our personal information, bank accounts, social security cards, social security numbers, it's all hacked. The tribes is being precautious. They don't know what's been taken, what's been pulled, so they're advising everybody to assume that social security number, bank account numbers, personal identifiable information has been compromised. They're advising everybody to change their bank accounts and freeze their credit. And that's what I had to do with the INL. I had to freeze my credit through Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And I just keep mine frozen because they'll, who knows when you're going to get attacked. So do that. Just change your bank accounts. Probably good practice to just do that anyway. Change your accounts every once in a while, because it's happening more and more, especially with the advent of AI. Get more creative on that. And I did try to talk to the council and tell them a little bit about my experience, what I learned being hacked. And when they hacked the INL, I heard that some people did have incidents where there was credit lines taken out. Now, I don't know if it was directly related to that cyber attack or what, but that's what I heard. I don't know how many of those happened, but there's a possibility. If you get your personal identifiable information taken, they can, for example, take out a credit line on your information and charge it up. I think there's also a possibility of doing some things with your social security number, perhaps taking out a fraudulent return. one woman mentioned that if they got all your personally identifiable information, can't they just open a new bank account with your information or get into your bank account? And they didn't really know if they could or not in that. But one thing that I know we've done at the lab, they sent out instructions on how to freeze your credit. And then they also, through those 3 different credit agencies, and they also had the FBI come talk to us and tell us what's going on, what happened, information about the dark web. And from what I remember, they told us the tribe didn't have any of that. It's just a councilman's and Tino talking. But what I remember from the breach at the INL was they said that you can these hackers, they'll take your information and then they'll sell it on the dark web or post it on the dark web. And on the dark web, other bad people or crooks will get that information and then they'll try to do things with it, like take lines of credit out, or maybe, I don't know, use that information in a way to where it's a form of identity theft. And other times they'll ransom the data. That's why it's called ransom, where they will say your data's been encrypted, and if it's like valuable data, get you to think, should I pay the ransom? And they'll say, if you pay the ransom, we'll give you the encryption codes to unlock your data and you get your data back. But apparently the FBI has been trying to tell the tribe that there's a high possibility that you won't even get your data back. You'll just get gibberish back. So that's probably true. So they're saying they're not going to pay. But I don't know if that's, I guess it depends on what they got. And I think what happens is you have like these cybersecurity professionals start working with these hackers and or paying the ransom. But I don't know if the tribe would pay the ransom or not. I don't know that, but has some family that they're going to be impacted. They had some checks coming that they were relying upon for just like living, and they said they're going to be delayed, and they have to apply in person with paper, and they'll try to get them paid, but it's going to be delayed. So these cyber attacks, they cost a lot of money, millions of dollars, especially time. Like yesterday, I closed my accounts and got new ones. It took like 2 hours sitting there getting that taken care of. And then you gotta, when you're paying your bills, you got automatic pay. You gotta fix all those because the account can get closed. But one thing when you're doing that and you're closing your accounts, make sure to tell your bank if you got deposits coming in from wage that, if possible, you'd like to get your deposits to keep coming in, but withdrawals to stop. And so that's what I would recommend or that's what I did. I've dealt with it before. When I used to work at the BLM, they paid for, I think, 20 years or something. Maybe it's 10 years. quite a few years they paid for identity theft monitoring. That's what the federal government did. And I don't know if the tribe will do it, if they got the resources to do that, but that's what the BLM did when I was compromised there. And some of the older tribal members that I know of, luckily they're old school. They don't they get their checks in the mail and pay by check, and they don't use the internet and all that. And so some of them are probably okay. I guess tribal health wasn't impacted. But yeah, it's just that's kind of what happened there. And it probably happened through a phishing, and that's spelled with a PHI, not FIS. Phishing attack, probably, where you get these, you see these like junk emails that come through, or these emails that are like social engineering emails, where they'll say, click on this and you win a sweepstakes, or you win a big prize or something. And you click on it, and what it does, it'll install on your computer, and then it will execute with your command line, and it'll encrypt your data and lock you out, and you can't get your data unless you get the encryption code. And then they'll say, we'll give you those encryption codes if you pay $1 million or something. But like they're saying, maybe they would give you the code back. They probably won't. I don't know. You're dealing with crooks, and so you can't trust the crook. So anyway, I was trying to convey some of this information at the meeting to the council, so they try and beef up their security so they're not so vulnerable to these kind of attacks. Have to do regular training and make sure their patches are installed and updated, and I was telling them they need to like even have their IT send out emails that are fake phishes, and to train staff. So they'll send an email out to staff saying, click on this to go to your award. And if they click on it, it'll say something like, oh, you just been phished. And then give them some information on what they should have did in that case. Like look at the email address, see if it's an official email address. And just information on how to learn about these phishing scams. There's the beast. I'm up here walking the fence, as the elk like to come through here and tear the fence up. And yeah, so I just wanted to put that on. Since I've been hacked so many times, I read about cybersecurity and kind of have a little bit of interest in that area. I watch these YouTube videos on this guy who strikes back at scammers, and I always thought that'd be cool, a cool job. Maybe some young tribal members should get into that, or they say like the people who hack your systems are not really that smart. That's a misconception. They just use vulnerabilities, or there's a tactic that it's an old tactic. They'll use those and get through. And but the people who are the defenders, they call them white hat hackers versus black hat hackers, who are the bad guys. White hat hackers will they develop securities and ways to protect yourself, and combat hackers and scammers. and be a good job for some tribal members to go into, because that's gonna just increase. Nowadays they probably have their own little co-pilot artificial intelligence generative tools that will write you a program that'll do some new ransomware. Sure, they got that out there, so you got to use AI to battle it back, fight it. And usually those white hat hackers are the good guys. A lot of them are like masters, PhDs, study mathematics, because they got to know it all. They got to know all the vulnerabilities and ways to combat, because the hackers only got to know one way, and a lot of times they use they just send an email and with an attachment, and for example, they could easily attack the tribes with something like, you just won a free trip to a powwow, or you just won some beaded gloves, click here, or a councilman is put you up for an award, click here. And or they'll another thing they'll do is they'll attack they'll look at who's in charge of the institution and try and figure out who will have all the passwords, and they'll look on like things like Facebook or social media and just like study them, and they'll study the government or institution and see what kind of software they have, what kind of computer systems, who are their vendors, because they'll even attack your vendors. So like if you have a software provider that's providing a software service to your company, or software as a service, they could potentially attack them and get access to your data. And so that's what happened with INL. Actually, it was a third-party vendor that the Idaho National Lab had that got compromised. And so it's like social engineering. So they'll, like if, for example, if it's a chief financial officer who has all the passwords, they might do a deep dive into that person's life, what they like, what's interests them, and they'll devise a phishing email that will be enticing for them to click on and install something. Or if it's just somebody who has access to the network, they'll do this, put a phishing scam on them, and then they get access to their network and away they go. And so one thing that you can do too is if it's sensitive data, you can encrypt it, back it up and encrypt it. So if it does get compromised, it'll be, they can't do anything with it anyway because it's encrypted. And don't sound like tribes had any of that. I don't know if they had any of their data backed up, because that would be a good thing if they had it backed up. Because if they're not going to pay it, just live with the consequences. They just reinstall their systems with the backup data and they're back to work, but they need to figure out where their vulnerability was. And so those are some things that I know a little bit about. I'm not a cybersecurity professional, but it's an interesting topic. And I remember there was trying to remember, there was a gas company, a Dominion Gas, I think it was. They got a cyber attack. They shut down the whole system. And I saw them attack a water tower in Texas. And so what I've heard too is that these other countries like Russia, China, they're testing the waters, seeing what systems they could hack into and how to do it. And sometimes they might be just sitting there waiting. They might already be just waiting for World War III. And then they push the button and shut off these systems. cause chaos. And like if they shut off the grid, I guess I've heard, and I don't know how true this is, I've heard like I think it was like not many substations, large substations in the United States, if they were hit and taken out, the whole US could go black. And I might have to look that one up. Maybe someone could put in the comments something on that if that's true. But I heard our grid system, because the government really supports centralized grid for monopolies and enriching the 1%. It's so centralized, you take out that, it's easier to take out, it's less resilient. That's just my opinion. But if you had decentralized energy systems or microgrids, they'd be more resilient to these attacks. And I just think we need to get smart about cybersecurity, because a lot of people are really ignorant about it. And you can't be that way in this day and age where everything's on the internet. They even want to put money on the internet, and that's probably what they're going to ask for with this ransomware. They're probably going to ask for cryptocurrency or Bitcoin or something. And I guess it's harder to trace where that money goes. And that's all digital currency. And there's been talk with the Fed of going to a digital currency. And you think about these payments like the tribe has for people's lives. And if they're all digital, they get shut down, payments stop. And, they rely on it for power or food or a place to stay. It really has a big effect. And then you think about everybody going to the bank and wasting the bank's time on making new accounts. That costs money. It's a huge cost. And we need to get smart about it. That's all I could say. But I got back to my truck, and fence looks good. I didn't have to do any repairs. So I'll talk to you later. Have a good one, and keep your head up.